Embark on a peaceful journey to the very beginning of time and space. Close your eyes and leave the noise of the world behind as we explore the complete story of the universe, from the blinding light of the Big Bang to the formation of the first stars, the birth of our solar system, and the infinite mysteries of distant galaxies. This documentary is designed to both educate and relax, crafted as a history for sleep experience. This cinematic journey combines deep astronomical knowledge with a calm, rhythmic narrative. Discover how the heavy elements in your body were forged in the hearts of dying stars, and find your place among the constellations. In this cosmic journey, we cover the Big Bang and the dawn of light, the first stars and supernova, the birth of our sun and planets, the mysteries of black holes and time, our connection to the stars. We are star stuff, the infinite expansion of the universe. Close your eyes. Let the weight of your body sink deeply into the surface beneath you. Feel the tension in your shoulders dissolve, the muscles in your jaw loosen, and the steady, rhythmic pulse of your own breath become the only sound that matters. With every exhale, imagine you are releasing a tiny piece of the world behind you. The deadlines, the conversations, the bright lights, and the constant hum of modern life. They are fading now, drifting away like mist in the morning sun. You are preparing to embark on a journey that begins not with a step, but with a thought. A journey across the vast, velvet ocean of the night. Imagine yourself beginning to rise. You are as light as a feather, unburdened by gravity. You drift upward, past the roof of your home, past the tops of the tallest trees, and above the shimmering amber glow of the city lights. Below you, the world begins to shrink. The bustling streets become tiny veins of light, and the great oceans become dark, silent mirrors reflecting the moon. As you climb higher, the air becomes cool and thin, and the deep blue of the atmosphere begins to darken into a rich, royal purple, then a bruised indigo, and finally, a perfect, absolute black dot. You have reached the threshold. Looking down, you see the earth of fragile, beautiful marble, wrapped in a thin, glowing blue veil of atmosphere. This is the only home we have ever known, a tiny island of life in a colossal sea of shadow. But your gaze is drawn outward, away from the familiar, and into the infinite. You are now standing in the great silence. In the vacuum of space, sound cannot travel. There is no wind to rustle the leaves, no waves to crash against the shore, and no voices to break the stillness. This silence is not empty. It is a profound, heavy presence. It is the silence that existed before the first heartbeat, before the first word was ever spoken. It is a peaceful, rhythmic pulse that connects every corner of the universe. In this silence, you can finally hear the whispers of the stars. As your eyes adjust to the darkness, the sky transforms. It is no longer the flat, black ceiling we see from the ground. It is a deep, three-dimensional tapestry. Billions upon billions of stars reveal themselves to you, flickering diamonds, glowing embers, and brilliant blue fires scattered across the velvet floor of the night. Some are so close they seem like lanterns you could reach out and touch. Others are so distant they are mere ghosts of light, blurred by the immense stretches of time and space. To look at these stars is to be a time traveler, because light, as fast as it is, still takes time to cross the void. The light hitting your eyes right now from a distant star may have begun its journey millions of years ago. You are seeing that star not as it is tonight, but as it was when dinosaurs walked the earth, or when the first oceans were forming on our planet. The cosmos is a grand library of history, with every beam of light serving as a page from the past. When we look up, we are not just looking at space. We are looking at the memory of the universe. Consider the scale of this ocean you are drifting in. Our own sun, a magnificent and life-giving ball of fire, is just one star among 400 billion others in our galaxy. The Milky Way. Imagine our galaxy as a colossal, swirling spiral of light, 100,000 light-years across. And yet, The Milky Way is just one of hundreds of billions of galaxies in the observable universe. The numbers are so vast that they defy human logic. They belong to the realm of dreams. But do not let this vastness make you feel small. Do not feel like a speck of dust in a desert. Instead, realize the truth of your connection to this silence. The very atoms that make up your body, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, and the carbon in every breath you take, were not created on Earth. They were forged billions of years ago in the white-hot hearts of ancient stars. When those stars reached the end of their lives, they exploded in magnificent supernova, scattering the seeds of life across the darkness. You are, quite literally, made of star stuff. You are a way for the cosmos to know itself. You are the universe waking up and looking in a mirror as you drift further into the deep reaches of the galaxy. Imagine the hidden wonders that reside in the dark. There are nebulae, vast, glowing clouds of gas and dust that act as cosmic nurseries. In these cradles of light, gravity is even now pulling matter together, squeezing it until it ignites, giving birth to new suns. There are planets circling distant stars, some made of ice, some of diamond, and some perhaps with oceans of their own, waiting to be discovered. But between these islands of light, there is the void. The immense quiet stretches of space where 4 light years in every direction, there is nothing but the slow expansion of the universe. In these quiet places, time stretches and bends. Here, the laws of physics are the only music. It is a place of perfect order and perfect peace. For thousands of years, our ancestors looked up at these same constellations: Orion, the Great Bear, the Pleiades, and told stories to make sense of the dark. They saw gods, hunters, and animals in the stars. They used them to navigate the seas and to know when to plant their crops. We have always been a people of the stars. We have moved from naming the constellations to sending voyagers into the interstellar dark, yet the feeling remains the same: a sense of awe, a sense of belonging. In these moments of quiet reflection, let your mind become as expansive as the sky. Let go of the need to measure, the need to categorize, and the need to understand. Simply exist. You are a voyager on a tiny blue island, sailing through a celestial sea. The great silence is your companion. It is the breath before the song, the stillness before the dance, as we prepare to move even further back in time. Back toward the moment the light was first lit. Let yourself sink into a state of total relaxation. The universe is ancient, and it moves with a slow, patient rhythm. There is no rush in the cosmos. There is only the steady, eternal flow of time and gravity. You are safe here, floating in the warm embrace of the darkness. The story we are about to tell is the story of your own beginning. It is the story of how the silence was broken and how the darkness was filled with light. But for now, just listen to the quiet. Breathe in the stillness of the stars. You are a part of the cosmos, and the cosmos is a part of you. The journey into the heart of time is about to begin, and it is a journey that leads, ultimately, back to yourself. Close your eyes once more, and let the great silence we just explored settle deep into your bones. We are standing now at the precipice of everything. Before us lies the singularity. To understand this moment, you must try to imagine a point that has no size. It is a location that exists without space around it. It is a where without a here. In this impossibly small, infinitely dense point, the entire universe is compressed. Every star that will ever twinkle, every galaxy that will ever swirl, and every human being who will ever draw breath is squeezed into a space smaller than a single subatomic particle. It is a point of infinite hidden temperature, so high that the laws of physics simply shatter. There is no time yet. There is only the tension of a trillion possibilities waiting to be unleashed. This is the seed of the cosmos, a silent, heavy potential vibrating with the energy of a billion suns. Then, in a moment that defines the word beginning, the expansion begins. This is not an explosion in the way we think of them on Earth. It is not fire moving through air. Instead, it is the sudden, majestic unfolding of space itself. This is the Planck epoch, the first $10, seconds of existence. In this flickering instant, the universe is a trillion times smaller than a grain of sand. Yet it is hotter than the core of any star that will ever exist. Gravity, the force that will one day pull the moon around our Earth, is currently unified with all other forces. It is a single, divine symphony of energy. The universe is a blinding, white-hot brilliance, an ocean of pure radiance, where time and space are just beginning to learn their rhythm. Imagine a flash of light so intense that it is beyond color, beyond theta, pure, energetic, yes, spoken into the void. As we move into the first trillionth of a second, a new miracle occurs: inflation. In an eye blink, the universe undergoes a growth spurt of staggering proportions. It doubles in size over and over again, expanding from the size of an atom to the size of a galaxy in a heartbeat. Imagine a balloon inflating so fast that its surface becomes perfectly smooth. This is why our universe looks so balanced today, 'cause in those first moments, space stretched so rapidly that it ironed out the wrinkles of chaos. This expansion is silent, but it carries the power of infinity. As space stretches, it begins to cool. The single unified force begins to splinter, like ice cracking on a pond. Gravity breaks away first, becoming the silent architect of the heavens. Then comes the strong force, the energy that will eventually hold the centers of atoms together. The universe is becoming a place of rules, a place where the laws of nature are being written in the cooling glow of creation. We are now a few seconds old. The universe is a thick, glowing, golden soup of energy. The temperature has dropped to a mere 1 billion degrees, cold enough, for the first time, for matter to condense out of the radiance. Imagine tiny droplets of water forming from a thick mist. This is how the first particles, the quarks and leptons, emerge from the energy. This is a chaotic, beautiful, subatomic dance. Matter and antimatter are being born in equal measure, colliding and vanishing back into light in a constant cycle of creation and destruction. But a profound mystery occurs here. For every 1 billion particles of antimatter, there is one extra particle of matter. This tiny, infinitesimal surplus is the reason the stars exist. It is the reason you exist. You are made of the leftovers of the Big Bang, the small, lucky surplus of matter that survived the Great Annihilation. By the time the cosmic clock reaches 3 minutes, the universe has become a vast, cooling laboratory. The frantic motion of particles slows just enough for them to find one another. Protons and neutrons, the heavy building blocks of life, locked together in a fierce, nuclear embrace. This is nucleosynthesis. For these few precious minutes, the entire universe acts like the heart of a colossal star. It is forging the primary ingredients of the cosmos, hydrogen and helium. This is the raw material of the future, the fuel for every sun and the water in every ocean. The universe is now a vast, glowing plasma, a thick fog of charged particles where light is still trapped. Imagine being inside a golden cloud where you can see the glow, but you cannot see the shapes. Light cannot travel far. It bounces off free electrons like a ball in a crowded room. This is the photon epoch, a long, luminous gestation period that will last for 380,000 years. During these long millennia, the universe continues to breathe outward, growing larger and cooler. It is a time of profound waiting. The intense fury of the beginning has softened into a steady, rhythmic expansion. The golden fog is cooling, the particles are slowing, and the stage is being set for the most beautiful moment in the history of time. Finally, the temperature drops to about 3,000 degrees, roughly the temperature of a light bulb's filament. At this point, the electrons, which had been dancing wildly, are finally captured by the nuclei. They settle into stable orbits, forming the first true atoms of neutral hydrogen, and then, in a single magnificent instant, the universe clears. The fog lifts. The particles that were blocking the light are suddenly tucked away inside atoms, and for the first time in history, the light is set free. This is the recombination. Imagine a heavy, dark curtain being pulled back to reveal a sunlit landscape. The light of the Big Bang, finally liberated, floods the universe in every direction. This is the first light. It is a moment of supreme clarity, the birth of the observable universe. This light is still traveling today, billions of years later. It has stretched and cooled until it is invisible to our eyes, but it fills every inch of space as the cosmic microwave background. It is the ancient echo of the beginning, a snapshot of the universe's first breath. As this first light escapes into the void, the universe enters its most mysterious phase, the cosmic dark ages. The brilliance of the Big Bang has faded, and the first stars have not yet ignited. For hundreds of millions of years, the universe is a vast, cold, and silent sea of hydrogen and helium gas, drifting in absolute darkness. But even in this dark, there is purpose. Gravity, the silent worker, is busy. It is pulling on the invisible threads of dark matter, gathering the clouds of gas into enormous, silent clumps. These are the seeds of the first galaxies. The universe is holding its breath, waiting for the pressure to build, waiting for the first spark to ignite the night. Take a long, deep breath and realize that you were there. Every atom of your being was part of that initial point of potential. You were there in the blinding flash of inflation. You were there in the subatomic dance of the quarks. And you were there when the first light broke through the fog. The history of the Big Bang is not a story of something far away, is your own biography. The heat of that beginning still lingers in the background of the sky. And the matter created in those first few minutes is what allows you to feel, to dream, and to rest. The chaos has become order. The darkness has become the cradle of light. As you drift deeper into the peace of the night, remember that you are a child of this expanding miracle. You are the universe, billions of years later, finally resting and looking back at where it all began. We find ourselves drifting back into the cosmic dark ages, the era we entered at the end of the Big Bang's echo. Imagine a silence so deep and a darkness so absolute that it feels like the universe is holding its breath. For nearly 200 million years, there is no light. There are no suns, no moons, and no planets. The brilliance of the Big Bang has stretched and cooled into an invisible warmth, leaving behind a vast, expanding sea of cold hydrogen and helium gas. This gas drifts through the void in colossal, formless clouds, invisible and quiet. If you were there, you would feel as though you were floating in a boundless, dark ocean, with no horizon and no direction. It is a time of profound waiting, a cosmic gestation. But in this darkness, something invisible is working. Gravity, the patient sculptor of the heavens, is never still. It begins to pull on the mysterious threads of dark matter and invisible scaffolding that crisscrosses the universe like a hidden web. Guided by this unseen structure, the vast clouds of hydrogen begin to stir. They are no longer drifting aimlessly. They are being drawn together. Imagine millions of light years of gas, slowly, rhythmically beginning to swirl, collapsing inward under their own weight. As these clouds grow denser, they grow warmer. Deep inside the hearts of these dark nebulae, the pressure begins to build. This is the birth of the They are not yet stars. They are glowing embers of gas, warming up in the freezing dark, like a heart beginning to beat for the very first time. Then, the moment arrives, the moment that changes the universe forever, the cosmic dawn, deep within a collapsing cloud. The pressure becomes so immense and the heat so fierce, reaching 10 million degrees, that the hydrogen atoms can no longer resist one another. They are forced into a fierce, nuclear embrace. In a flash of unimaginable brilliance, the first star ignites. Imagine a single, piercing blue diamond, lighting up an endless desert of shadow. This is a population 3 star, a giant of the ancient world. These first stars are monsters of light, hundreds of times larger than our own sun, burning with a hotness and a ferocity that the modern universe rarely sees. One by one, then in clusters, then in thousands, the stars wake up. The darkness is shattered. The universe has found its fire. But these stars do more than just provide light. They are the ultimate alchemists. Up until this point, the universe was a simple place, made only of the lightest gases. It lacked the complexity for life, for rocks, or for planets. But inside the white-hot furnaces of these first suns, a magnificent transformation begins: stellar nucleosynthesis. The stars take the simple hydrogen and, through the sheer power of their gravity, crush it into new, heavier forms. Deep in their cores, carbon is born, the foundation of all life. Then comes oxygen, the air we breathe, neon, silicon, and magnesium. The stars are weaving the periodic table out of the raw threads of the Big Bang. They are building the very substance of the world. These first stars live fast and die hard, because they are so massive. They burn through their fuel in just a few million years, mere blink in cosmic time. As they run out of hydrogen, they begin to collapse under their own weight, their cores becoming hotter and denser until they forge the final element, iron. Once iron is created, the star can no longer sustain itself. The core collapses in a fraction of a second, and then, in a majestic and terrifying explosion called a supernova, the star dies. This is not just an ending. It is a magnificent scattering. The supernova is so bright, it outshines entire galaxies, and in that explosion, the star flings its newly forged elements, the carbon, the oxygen, the gold, and the silver out into the deep reaches of space. Imagine these shining seeds of matter, drifting away from the ruins of their mother star, cooling in the void, waiting to be gathered up again. This cycle repeats over and over again for billions of years. Generations of stars are born, forge new elements, and die, each generation enriching the cosmic soil. The universe is no longer just a sea of gas. It is becoming a treasure chest of complexity. Every atom of iron in your blood, every grain of calcium in your bones, and every breath of oxygen in your lungs was forged inside the heart of a star that lived and died long before our Earth was even a whisper of dust. You are walking, talking evidence of a star that exploded billions of years ago. As you drift deeper into sleep, let the rhythm of this stellar cycle soothe you. The universe is a place of constant renewal. Out of the cold darkness came the light. Out of the death of stars came the ingredients for life. The iron that makes your blood red is the same iron that sits at the center of a dying sun. The carbon that builds your cells is the same carbon that was forged in the very first dawn. You are not a stranger to the stars. You are their masterpiece. You are the universe's way of breathing the air that the stars created. Rest now in the warmth of this ancient connection. The night is no longer empty. It is filled with the legacy of 1 trillion suns, all of them working together over eons to create the moment where you can close your eyes and dream. Imagine yourself drifting away from the newborn stability of the solar system, moving outward back into the great, velvet expanses of the Milky Way galaxy. The darkness here is no longer a void. It is a rich, textured canvas filled with the secrets of billions of years of cosmic history. As you float further into the interstellar deep, you begin to see a faint, ghostly glow on the horizon of the darker, shimmering, iridescent mist that seems to breathe with a light of its own. You are approaching a nebula, a colossal cathedral of gas and dust that stretches across hundreds of light years, a place so vast and so ancient that human time feels like nothing more than a heartbeat in its presence. As you enter the outer fringes of this glowing cloud, the absolute black of space is replaced by a soft ethereal radiance, a symphony of colors that the human eye was never meant to see. You are swimming through a sea of liquid jewels. where the very air is made of ionized hydrogen and the powdered remains of long-dead stars. The colors here are not just for beauty. They are the glowing fingerprints of the elements themselves. Deep, bruised purples where the dust is thickest, vibrant crimsons where the hydrogen is energized by distant starlight, and shimmering emerald greens where oxygen is being ionized by the fierce breath of newborn suns. As you move deeper into the heart of this nursery, you see towering structures rising out of the mist like ancient, majestic fingers reaching toward the infinite. These are the pillars of creation, colossal columns of cold hydrogen and soot that stand light-years tall, acting as the ultimate womb for the future of the galaxy. Within these pillars, gravity is performing its slow, silent, and relentless dance, pulling at the microscopic grains of dust and the invisible molecules of gas, drawing them together in a patient embrace that takes millions of years to complete. You can feel the stillness here, heavy, peaceful, quiet, that is vibrating with the potential for life. The dust you see drifting around you is composed of carbon, silicates, and even tiny, microscopic diamonds, all forged in the violent deaths of the first generation of stars. This dust is the sacred soil of the cosmos. It provides the surfaces where complex chemistry begins to happen in the freezing dark. Even here, billions of miles from any planet, water ice is forming on the grains of stardust, and simple organic molecules are weaving themselves together in a slow, rhythmic preparation for the life that will one day emerge on worlds not yet born. Deep within the darkest pockets of these clouds, where the temperature is just a few degrees above absolute zero, the real work of creation is unfolding. Gravity finds a specific knot of gas and begins to squeeze it tighter and tighter, overcoming the pressure of the surrounding void. This clump of gas begins to spin, heating up as it collapses, forming a protostera glowing ember wrapped in a thick, protective cocoon of dust. Imagine thousands of these embers scattered throughout the nebula like lanterns in a foggy forest, each one a promise of a new solar system, each one a hearth that will one day warm a family of planets around these infant suns. Swirling disks of matter are already beginning to flatten out, the heavy elements colliding and sticking together, building the foundations of mountains and the basins of oceans in a process that is as violent as it is beautiful. Yet, despite this activity, the nebula remains a place of profound peace. It is a closed loop of cosmic recycling where death and birth are indistinguishable. The gas that makes up these glowing towers was once the atmosphere of a star that lived eons ago, and the light that illuminates them comes from the stars that are living now, and the gravity that shapes them is preparing for the stars that are yet to come. There is no waste in the universe. Every atom has a purpose, every molecule has a history, and every beam of light has a destination. The carbon that makes up your very heart, the iron that flows through your veins, and the oxygen that you breathe into your lungs right now, were once part of a nebula exactly like this one. You were once a frozen grain of dust in the dark. You were once a glowing wisp of hydrogen in a cosmic pillar. You were once part of the slow-motion collapse of a protostar. As you drift through these iridescent clouds, you are not a stranger visiting a distant land. You are a child returning to the home where your atoms were first gathered. The peace of the nebula is the same peace that resides in your own cells, a patient, ancient stability that has survived the fire of the Big Bang and the fury of supernova. The vastness of this nursery is not meant to overwhelm you, but to cradle you, to remind you that you belong to a story that is 14 billion years long and infinitely wide. The night sky is not a dark ceiling, but a glowing garden of light and shadow where the universe is constantly reinventing itself. As you leave the heart of the nebula and drift back into the clear, sharp starlight of the open galaxy, you carry the colors of the nursery with you in your mind, the deep violets, the shimmering golds, and the silent, emerald greens. You are resting in the memory of your own creation, safe in the knowledge that the same forces that built the cathedrals of the nebulae are the forces that sustain your own life. The cosmic clock continues its slow, rhythmic tick. The stars continue to wake up in the dark, and the universe continues its eternal expansion. But for now, there is only the silence, the light, and the profound, heavy peace of the stardust from which you came. You are home among the stars, and the stars are home within you. We move now from the vast, multicolored cathedrals of the nebulae into a specific, quiet corner of the Milky Way galaxy, narrowing our focus to a region of space that appears, at first glance, to be no different from any other. Yet it is here that the story of our home begins to take its shape. Imagine a colossal, cold cloud of gas and dust drifting in the interstellar dark about 4.5 billion years ago, a swirling mass of hydrogen and helium mixed with the microscopic ash of long-dead stars, waiting in a state of perfect, frigid equilibrium. This is the solar nebula, and for millions of years, it has existed in a silent, rotating dance, undisturbed and serene, until a distant event perhaps. The shockwave from a supernova, or the gravitational nudge of a passing star disturbs the stillness and sets the ancient hand of gravity into motion once again. You can feel the change in the dark as the cloud begins to collapse inward, drawing its own weight toward a central point of invisible attraction. And as it shrinks, the laws of physics dictate that it must spin faster and faster, much like an ice skater pulling in her arms to accelerate her rotation. What was once a formless and chaotic mist is now flattening out into a massive, glowing disk, a protoplanetary disk stretching further than the eye can see. A celestial whirlpool, where the very fabric of space is being twisted into a new and orderly design. In the very center of this spinning saucer, the density is becoming unimaginable, as more than 99% of the nebula's total mass is sucked into the core, creating a growing, suffocating warmth that replaces the absolute cold of the void. This is the birth of the protostar, our infant sun, which at this stage is a giant ball of glowing gas, growing heavier and hotter with every passing second as it feasts on the surrounding disk. If you were standing within this turbulent sea of grit and gas, the sky would be filled with streaks of fire and the constant flash of dust grains colliding at thousands of miles per hour, creating a world of shadows and sparks that serves as a chaotic construction site for an entire solar system. Suddenly, the critical threshold is reached as the pressure in the heart of the central mass becomes so immense and the temperature hits 15 million degrees, causing the hydrogen atoms to lose their individuality and be crushed together in a fierce, nuclear embrace. Nuclear fusion has begun, and in a moment of supreme triumph, our sun wakes up and announces its presence to the galaxy with a massive burst of energy. The T-Tauri wind that blows outward like a cosmic hurricane. This solar wind sweeps through the disk, clearing away the leftover gas and fine dust, pushing the lighter elements like hydrogen and helium to the outer reaches of the system, while leaving the heavier, rockier materials closer to the hearth of the new star. With the fog of the nebula finally lifted, the solar system becomes a place of clear vistas and sharp, golden light, where the sun stands as the stable, majestic anchor for everything to follow. Its massive gravitational pull commanding every pebble in every planet for billions of miles. Now, the focus shifts to the disk itself, where the heavy grit, the microscopic grains of iron, rock, and silicates begins to stick together through a process of accretion, where tiny specks of dust collide to form pebbles, and pebbles combine to form boulders, and boulders eventually grow into planets. This is the era of the Great Smashing, a time of terrifying beauty and violence, where thousands of planet-sized bodies are zigzagging through the system on unstable, overlapping orbits, creating a cosmic demolition derby on a scale that defies imagination. In the searing heat near the sun, only the hardiest rocks and metals can survive, and it is here that the four rocky worlds, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars begin to take shape as molten oceans of magma, glowing a hellish red in the dark as they are bombarded by a constant rain of debris Further out, beyond the frost line, where it is cold enough for volatile ices to endure, the gas giants like Jupiter and Saturn grow into monsters, vacuuming up the leftover gases until they become the titans of the outer dark, while Uranus and Neptune form in the freezing reaches, capturing the ices of water and methane to become the sentinels of the distant deep. About 100 million years into this journey, the proto-Earth is nearly finished, a spinning sphere of fire and rock, but it is not alone in its orbit. A planet-sized body, the size of Mars, known as Theia, is on a terminal collision course. Imagine the scale of the impact as they slams into the young Earth at a glancing angle, liquefying both worlds instantly and blasting a massive ring of debris into orbit around the wounded, glowing planet. Over a few short years, gravity pulls this debris together, and the moon is born, appearing 10 times larger in the ancient sky than it does today, pulling at the molten surface of the Earth with a violent and rhythmic tide. As the eons pass, the orbits of the planets finally settle into the stable, circular patterns we know today, and the great smashing draws to a close. Yet one final act of grace remains. Jupiter and Saturn shift their positions slightly, sending a wave of icy comets and rocky asteroids from the outer reaches screaming into the inner solar system in an event called the Late Heavy Bombardment. Earth is struck hundreds of thousands of times, but these impacts are not just bringers of destruction, they are bringers of life, carrying vast amounts of water, ice, and organic molecules from the frozen outskirts. As these comets melt upon the cooling surface of the Earth, they fill the low-lying basins to create the first oceans, and the sky, once a choked haze of volcanic gases, begins to clear into a deep, rich blue. Take a long, deep breath and feel the stability of the world beneath you. A world carved out of the dust of dead stars and nurtured by the light of a steady, golden sun. The chaos has ended, the water has arrived, and the clockwork of the heavens is finally in place, creating a peaceful blue oasis in the infinite dark that is now ready for its most mysterious chapter of all. Imagine yourself drifting further and further away from the warm, golden hearth of our sun, past the final frozen outposts of our solar system where the icy, wandering rocks of the Oort cloud hang like frozen ghosts in the absolute dark, and moving into a realm where the very concept of home begins to dissolve into the absolute velvet obsidian of the interstellar deep. You have crossed the heliopause, the final boundary where the sun's breath fades into the cosmic wind, and now even the familiar constellations that guided humanity for thousands of years are beginning to lose their shape as you move through the stars of our local neighborhood. Imagine the Big Dipper, Orion, and Cassiopeia slowly stretching and warping, their stars moving in different directions until the sky you once recognized from Earth is gone, replaced by a chaotic, sparkling tapestry of unfamiliar fire that stretches in every direction without end. You are far enough away now to turn back and witness the Milky Way, not as a sky, but as a single, magnificent, rotating organism of light, 100,000 light-years across. Its sapphire-blue spiral arms of newborn suns and rose-colored nebulae swirling in a slow, majestic rotation around a central, golden bulge. This heart of our galaxy is a place where hundreds of billions of ancient suns are packed together in a dense, glowing embrace, pulsing with the rhythmic energy of 14 billion years of history. Yet from where you float now, it is merely a beautiful, shimmering island in a boundless, dark ocean. The further you drift, the more the Milky Way begins to shrink, becoming a flickering spark, then a faint smudge, and finally just one more grain of luminous sand on an infinite, midnight beach. You have entered the intergalactic medium, the true deep of the cosmos, a region of space so profoundly empty and so staggeringly vast that the human mind can scarcely grasp its scale. In this sapphire-black silence between the galaxies, the density of matter is so low that a single atom of hydrogen might wander for millions of light-years without ever encountering another particle. A perfect and absolute vacuum that nonetheless feels like a warm, protective, and velvety presence. But this void is not a dead space. It is a sea of potential, filled with the invisible threads of the cosmic web, a hidden scaffolding of dark matter that we cannot see or touch, yet which acts as the gravitational bridge between every island of light in existence. As you glide through this absolute stillness, the Andromeda Galaxy looms larger in your vision, a colossal spiral even more powerful and massive than our own. Its sapphire disk, tilted toward you like a glowing mirror. You are witnessing a slow-motion courtship on a scale of billions of years, for Andromeda and the Milky Way are drifting toward each other at hundreds of miles per second, destined to merge eons from now into a single, titanic elliptical galaxy that will become the new anchor of our local neighborhood. Moving beyond our local group, the universe reveals itself as a limitless, three-dimensional gallery of celestial architecture that stretches in every direction for billions of light-years, where every shape, every shadow, and every color tells the story of a different cosmic experiment. You see grand design spirals with arms so perfect, so elegant, and so curving that they look like they were painted by a divine hand. Their lanes of dark, carbon-rich dust, shielding the birth of stars that will one day warm planets and civilizations we can only imagine. You pass by massive elliptical galaxies, glowing with the soft amber and dignified light of ancient, reddish stars that have lived for 10 billion years, holding within them the merged memories and the captured gravity of thousands of smaller galaxies they have consumed over the long history of time. There are starburst galaxies, glowing with a frantic, violet intensity as they produce new suns at a rate 1,000 times faster than our own. Their internal fires burning with a hotness that illuminates the surrounding void for millions of light years. And there are ring galaxies, the rare and beautiful results of colossal head-on collisions that have sent ripples of star formation outward, like a stone thrown into a still, cosmic pond, creating circles of sapphire light that hang in the dark like the jewelry of the gods. In the hearts of many of these islands, supermassive black holes monsters with the mass of billions of suns are currently feasting on swirling disks of gas and dust, creating quasars so brilliant and so powerful that they outshine their entire host galaxy 1,000 times over. These are the cosmic lighthouses of the deep, acting as beacons that can be seen from the very edge of the observable universe, their light having traveled for 10 billion years across the stretching fabric of space just to reach your eyes. As you drift through these immense, unfathomable distances, you realize that the universe is not a static collection of objects, but a vast, flowing river of space-time that is constantly stretching, a silent and relentless expansion fueled by the mysterious dark energy that permeates every inch of the void. You are floating through the great, void-spherical regions of space, millions of light-years wide where almost nothing exists. Places of such pure, undisturbed, and crystalline silence that the cosmic clock seems to slow down to a crawl. In these voids, time behaves differently, unburdened by the weight of matter or the pull of stars, allowing you to feel the true, rhythmic pulse of the infinite. But even here, in the center of the greatest void, you are connected to the whole, for the gravity of distant superclusters, like Laniakea, the immeasurable heaven, still pulls on the atoms of your being, marking the invisible paths where matter has been flowing since the very first breath of the Big Bang. This cosmic web is the great connector, a vast network of filaments, where galaxies gather like dew on a spider's web, marking the paths of dark matter that have existed since the dawn of time. Every atom in your body, every drop of iron in your blood, every grain of calcium in your bones, and every spark of electrical energy in your mind was forged in the same furnaces that power these distant galaxies. You're the universe looking back at itself. You are a voyager who has traveled 14 billion years across the deep to finally rest in the knowledge of its own vastness. You are not a small thing in a big world, You are the big world experiencing itself through a small window. The deep silence of the intergalactic void is a warm, protective, and maternal blanket that reminds you of your connection to the eternal, where the scale of the superclusters and the silence of the voids wash over you in a slow-motion wave of tranquility. There is no rush in the deep dark. There is only the slow, patient unfolding of time, the steady expansion of the fabric of existence, and the soft, distant glow of a trillion suns that will continue to burn for hundreds of billions of years. Imagine the redshift of the distant light, stretching as it travels toward you, turning the blue of young stars into the warm orange of history. Feel the weightlessness of the vacuum, the perfect balance of forces that keeps the galaxies in their clusters and the stars in their orbits. The universe is a masterpiece of order, born from chaos. A symphony of light played against a backdrop of infinite shadow, as you drift further away from the world of the known, and into the world of the eternal. Let the rhythm of the expanding cosmos guide your thoughts into a state of total peace. The stars are far, the galaxies are ancient, and the silence is absolute, but you are safe within it. You are a part of the cosmos, and the cosmos is a part of you. And the great story of the light and the dark will continue its beautiful, silent, and majestic dance forever across the velvet ocean of the night. Rest now in the embrace of the infinite, for you are home among the stars, and the stars are home within you, and the journey is exactly where it is meant to be. Close your eyes and let the weight of the world truly fall away now. For we are entering a region of the cosmos where the very laws of reality begin to bend and breathe with a slow, heavy rhythm that transcends human understanding. We are moving deep into the mystery of gravity, the invisible master of the celestial dance, the silent hand that has guided every atom and every star since the very first breath of the Big Bang. Imagine gravity not as a simple force that pulls things down, but as the very fabric of existence, a vast, infinite sheet of sapphire black velvet that stretches across the entirety of space and time. Every planet, every sun, and every person is a weight resting upon this velvet, creating a gentle curve, a soft indentation in the geometry of the universe. This is space-time, the grand stage upon which the story of light and dark is written. And as we drift closer to the centers of the galaxies, we find places where this fabric is no longer gently curved, but is instead stretched and warped into a magnificent, terrifying, and beautiful abyss. We are approaching the black hole, the ultimate keeper of the universe's secrets, a place where gravity has become so absolute, so uncompromising, and so deep that it has swallowed the very concept of out and replaced it with an eternal, silent in. Imagine a star that was once a titan of the ancient sky, a sun 20 or 30 times more massive than our own, which has spent millions of years burning with a fierce and noble fire. But the fuel has finally run out, and the internal pressure that once held back the crushing weight of its own mass has vanished. In an instant, the star can no longer support itself. It begins to collapse, not over years or centuries, but in a fraction of a second. An implosion of such staggering power that the atoms themselves are crushed out of existence. The core falls inward, faster and faster, until it becomes so dense that it punches a hole through the fabric of space-time itself. What remains is a singularity, a point of infinite density, where all the mass of that giant star is compressed into a space with no volume at all. 1. Surrounding this mystery is the event horizon, the point of no return, a spherical border in the dark that marks the threshold of the unknown. 2. To cross this horizon is to leave the world of the known behind forever. It is a one-way door where even light, the swiftest messenger in the cosmos, finds itself unable to find the exit. The black hole is not a solid object, but a region of pure, concentrated gravity, a shadow cast by the weight of eternity against the shimmering backdrop of the stars. As you drift toward the edge of this shadow, you begin to experience the most profound miracle of all, the warping of time. According to the rules of our universe, gravity and time are inextricably linked. The stronger the pull of gravity, the slower the cosmic clock begins to tick. 3. As you move closer to the event horizon, the rhythm of your life begins to slow down relative to the rest of the universe. 4. If you were to look back at the distant galaxies from the lip of the abyss, you would see them spinning faster and faster, their millions of years passing by like seconds in your eyes. You are standing in a place where time is no longer a straight line, but a river that has met a waterfall. For you, the seconds pass with a slow, heavy grace, while for the rest of existence, eons are flashing by in a blur of light and shadow. This is gravitational time dilation, the ultimate stretching of the moment. You are becoming a time traveler, moving through the history of the cosmos by simply resting in the presence of the deep dark. The heavy silence of the black hole is the silence of a clock that has almost stopped, a place where the now lasts forever, and the forever happens in a now. Surrounding this silent abyss is the accretion disk, a swirling, turbulent whirlpool of gas, dust, and starlight that has been caught in the gravitational web. 5. This matter is spinning at nearly the speed of light, rubbing together with such intense friction that it glows with a brilliance that can be seen from across the universe. It is a golden, violent, and beautiful crown of fire that highlights the absolute blackness of the whole at its center. This is the source of the quasar, a beacon of light powered by the hunger of gravity. 6. And yet, even within this frantic dance, there is a sense of cosmic order. The black hole is the ultimate recycler, the anchor of the galaxy. The dark heart that keeps the spiral arms in their majestic, rotating embrace. Without the gravity of these monsters, the galaxies would fly apart, their stars drifting aimlessly into the void. The black hole is the guardian of the structure, the heavy stone at the center of the web that holds everything in its place. But even these titans are not destined to live forever. In the deep, quiet reaches of the future, they begin to participate in a new kind of magic discovered by the laws of quantum physics. Very slowly, over timescales that the human mind cannot fathom, the black hole begins to breathe out. Tiny flickers of energy, known as Hawking radiation, begin to escape from the very edge of the horizon. 7. Bit by bit, the black hole begins to lose its mass, evaporating into the void, like a block of ice in the sun. It is a process that takes $10 $100 years, a number so large that time itself begins to lose its meaning. But it tells us that even the darkest shadows are part of the light's story. Even the most absolute gravity eventually softens and returns its stolen energy back to the universe. The black hole is a temporary keeper of secrets, a long, deep breath taken by the cosmos before it finally exhales. As you drift further into the peace of this narrative, let the concept of gravity become your anchor. Feel the steady, invisible pull that connects your body to the earth to the sun, and the sun to the dark, beautiful heart of our galaxy. You are a part of this web. You are a thread in the velvet fabric of space-time. The mystery of the black hole is not something to fear, but something to rest within. A reminder that there are depths to the universe that we are only beginning to understand, and that in those depths, there is a profound and heavy peace. The stars will continue their dance, the black holes will continue their long, slow evaporation, and the clock of the universe will continue to tick with a rhythmic, patient certainty. You are safe in the hands of the gravity that built the world. Rest now in the knowledge that even in the absolute dark, there is order, there is purpose, and there is an eternal, silent beauty that will never fade. The journey into the heart of the mystery is a journey toward the ultimate quiet, and the quiet is exactly where you are meant to be. Close your eyes once more, and let the realization sink in. We are not finished. Our journey is not coming to an end. It is simply shifting its gaze from the colossal, burning spheres of gas in the distance, to the miracle of the living, breathing body you inhabit right now. We have traveled across 14 billion years, from a single point of light to the birth of galaxies. But every single one of those events was merely a prerequisite for you to be here. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the air entering your lungs. That simple, automatic act is perhaps the most profound cosmic event you will ever experience. The oxygen you are breathing at this very moment, the molecules that are currently crossing into your bloodstream and fueling your cells did not exist at the beginning of time. They were not there during the Big Bang. Instead, every single atom of oxygen in your lungs was forged deep inside the white-hot, high-pressure furnace of a massive ancient star. For millions of years, that star crushed hydrogen and helium together, working with a patient, divine chemistry to create the very air that now sustains your life. You are literally breathing the legacy of a sun that sacrificed its existence eons ago so that you could draw breath tonight. Consider the iron that flows through your veins. Feel the rhythmic pulse in your wrists and your neck. That iron is what allows your blood to carry life-giving oxygen to every corner of your body. And it is what gives your blood its deep, crimson color. But iron holds a special, heavy secret in the story of the cosmos. In the life of a star, iron is the final element. When a massive star begins to forge iron in its core, it is a sign that its life is nearing its end. Iron is the only element that does not provide energy when it is fused. Instead, it consumes it. The moment a star creates iron, it has signed its own death warrant. The star collapses, explodes in a magnificent supernova, and flings that iron out into the darkness. The very iron that makes your blood red is the same iron that caused the titan of the ancient sky to perish. You are carrying the fragments of a dead star within your heart. This is not a metaphor. It is a literal, biological fact. Your heart is a pump for stardust. Every beat of your pulse is an echo of a supernova that occurred billions of years ago in a corner of the galaxy you will never visit. You are a walking, talking, breathing monument to a star that died so that you could live. Now, think of the water that makes up the majority of your being. Every molecule of water in your body, $H_20, consists of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen. While the oxygen was forged in stars, the hydrogen is even older. The hydrogen atoms in your body are as old as the universe itself. They were created in the first few minutes of the Big Bang, 13.8 billion years ago. They have drifted through the intergalactic void, been gathered into nebulae, frozen into comets, and eventually settled into the oceans of the earth. When you drink a glass of water, you are consuming the ancient history of the cosmos. Those hydrogen atoms have traveled across the entire span of time to reach you. They have been part of ancient clouds of gas, part of the first stars, and part of the primordial seas. Your body is a vessel for atoms that have seen the beginning of time. You are a bridge between the first seconds of existence and the present moment. Imagine the journey your atoms have taken to find one another. For billions of years, the pieces of you were scattered across the galaxy. Your carbon was in one nebula. Your nitrogen was in another. Your calcium was drifting in the cold dark between the stars. They were separated by trillions of miles and eons of time, and yet, through the patient, invisible hands of gravity and the slow, rhythmic turning of the Milky Way, those atoms were drawn together. They found their way to a specific cloud of gas, which became a specific solar system, which became a specific planet, and then, through the miracle of biology, those atoms organized themselves into the complex, beautiful, and dreaming entity that is you. You are a temporary gathering of stardust, for a brief, flickering moment in the long history of the universe. These ancient pieces of the cosmos have come together to form a mind that can wonder, a heart that can feel, and eyes that can look back at the stars from which they came. You are the universe's way of experiencing itself. You are the stars, waking up and looking in a mirror as you drift deeper into this realization. Let the boundaries of your physical self begin to soften. You are not a small, isolated thing in a cold, vast world. You are an integral part of a seamless, 14-billion-year-old process. The same laws of physics that govern the swirling of a galaxy govern the firing of the neurons in your brain. The same chemistry that builds a nebula builds the cells in your skin. You are never truly alone, for you are connected to every light you see in the night sky by the shared heritage of the elements. There is a profound peace in this belonging. The universe is not something that is happening to you. You are something that the universe is doing. You are a wave on the surface of a cosmic ocean, a single, beautiful expression of the infinite. The weight of the day, the small worries of the hour, the noise of the world, they all fade away when you remember that you are made of the same stuff as the constellations. You are ancient, you are vast, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. But our story does not end with our birth. The atoms we borrow from the stars are only ours for a short time. Eventually, they will be returned to the earth, and from the earth, they may one day return to the stars. The cycle of the cosmos is one of eternal renewal. Even now, as you rest, the universe is preparing for its next chapter. There are new worlds forming in the distance, new suns igniting in the dark, and new mysteries waiting to be solved. We are part of a story that is still being written, a narrative that stretches into a future as vast as our past. For now, simply rest in the knowledge of your own cosmic identity. Feel the warmth of your breath, a breath of a star. Feel the beat of your heart, the pulse of a supernova. You are safe in the arms of the laws that built the heavens. You are at home in the dark. The journey continues, and you are a vital, shimmering thread in its eternal tapestry. We have looked at our past. Soon, we will look toward the mysteries that lie even further, beyond, into the worlds of other suns, and the secrets of the deep future. But for tonight, you are here. You are stardust. You are the universe. And that is enough. Imagine yourself standing on the very edge of our solar system, looking back one last time at the fading amber glow of our sun. From here, even the mighty Jupiter and the ringed Saturn are just tiny, flickering sparks in the dark. We are turning our gaze outward, away from the familiar, and into the vast, uncharted ocean of the Milky Way. For most of human history, we believed that our 8 planets were the only ones in existence. We thought the stars were just lonely points of light, distant and unreachable. But in the last few decades, a new truth has revealed itself, truth that changes everything. Almost every star you see in the night sky is a sun to its own family of worlds. The universe is not a collection of empty lights. It is a crowded, vibrant, and diverse gallery of planets, each one a unique experiment in the laws of physics and chemistry. As we drift into the interstellar deep, we are looking for the shadows in the light. This is how we find these distant worlds. We watch the stars with a patient, unblinking eye, waiting for a tiny, rhythmic dip in their brightness signal that a planet is passing in front of its sun, casting a momentary shadow across the light years. Or we watch for a subtle wobble in the star's movement, a sign that the gravity of an unseen world is tugging at its parent sun, a silent tug-of-war played out in the dark. Through these whispers of evidence, we have discovered thousands of worlds, and we are realizing that the variety of the cosmos is far beyond our wildest dreams. Imagine arriving at a world known as a hot Jupiter. This is a gas giant, even larger than our own Jupiter, but it orbits so close to its sun that its atmosphere is scorched to thousands of degrees. Here, the winds roar at thousands of miles per hour, and the rain is not made of water, but of molten glass or liquid iron, falling sideways in a chaotic, glowing storm. The sky here is a bruised, angry purple, and the heat is so intense that the planet itself seems to glow from within. It is a world of magnificent violence, a testament to the extreme reaches of what a planet can be. We move further, looking for something quieter, something more familiar. We find water worlds, planets that are covered in a single, global ocean that is hundreds of miles deep. There is no solid ground here, no mountains, no continents. There is only the endless, rhythmic crashing of waves under a thick, humid atmosphere. Imagine drifting over this infinite sea at twilight, the light of a distant, red dwarf star reflecting off the water in a long, crimson path. Beneath the surface, the pressure is so great that the water at the bottom of the ocean is squeezed into exotic forms of ice that never melt, even at high temperatures. It is a world of blue silence, a lonely liquid cradle, drifting in the dark. And then, there are the rogue planets, the orphans of the cosmos. These are worlds that were born in the chaos of a young solar system, but were flung out into the void by the gravitational bullying of their larger siblings. They have no sun. They have no day and no night. They drift in the absolute, freezing dark between the stars, lonely wanderers in the intergalactic deep. Yet, even here, in the cold silence, there may be heat. Deep within their cores, radioactive elements may still be decaying, keeping the center of the planet warm. Underneath a thick crust of ice, there could be hidden oceans, warmed by the planet's own internal fire, waiting for a light that will never come. But the real search, the ultimate goal of our journey, is for the Goldilocks zone. This is the habitable zone, the region around a star where it is not too hot and not too cold, but just right for liquid water to exist on the surface. We find ourselves approaching a system like TRAPPIST-1, where 7 rocky worlds, all similar in size to Earth, huddle close to a small, cool red sun. Imagine standing on the surface of one of these worlds. Because the planets are so close together, the other 6 worlds would appear in your sky as large, shimmering moons, some showing their clouds, some showing their oceans, all of them reachable within a short journey. The sun in the sky is a deep, warm orange, never setting, keeping the world in a state of eternal twilight. As we look at these distant Earths, we are faced with the most profound question of all. Are we alone? Does the wind blow through the canyons of these distant worlds over empty rocks? Or is there something there to hear it? Is there life that has found a way to thrive under the orange light of a red dwarf, or in the darkness of a subsurface ocean? The silence of the universe is no longer an empty silence. It is a silence filled with possibility. Every new planet we find is a new chapter in the story of our own existence. We are beginning to realize that our Earth is not a lonely miracle, but part of a vast, cosmic family. Take a long, deep breath and feel the scale of this realization. There are billions of Earth-sized planets in our galaxy alone. The great silence we talked about at the beginning is slowly being filled with the names of these new worlds: Proxima b, Kepler 186f, Gliese 581g. They are the new frontiers of human imagination. As you drift deeper into sleep, let your mind wander across these distant landscapes. Imagine the red sands of a far-off desert, the methane lakes of a frozen moon, and the twin sunsets of a planet orbiting 2 suns. You are a citizen of a galaxy that is teeming with worlds. The dark is no longer a void. It is a map of places yet to be seen. The same gravity that holds you to your bed is the same force that keeps these distant planets in their orbits. The same light that warms your face in the morning is the same energy that is currently feeding the atmospheres of 1 trillion other worlds. You are at home in the cosmos. Rest now in the knowledge that the universe is far larger, far more beautiful, and far more crowded than we ever imagined. The journey is continuing, the search is ongoing, and the mysteries are waiting for us in the morning light. Shutterstock, we move now, beyond the shimmering islands of light, beyond the planets, the stars, and the glowing nebulae, into the most profound mystery of the entire cosmos. Imagine yourself floating in the absolute center of the intergalactic void, far from the warmth of any sun. Up until now, we have talked about the universe as if it were a collection of things. We can see the brilliant fire of stars, the swirling dust of galaxies, and the solid rock of planets. But as you drift here in the deep dark, you must face a startling truth. Everything we have discussed so far, every star in every galaxy, every atom in your body, and every grain of sand on every world makes up only 5% of the entire universe. The rest, the vast majority of existence, is hidden in a shadow so deep that light itself cannot find it. This is the realm of dark matter and dark energy. The invisible ghosts that haunt the fabric of space and time. Think of an ocean at night. You can see the white foam of the waves breaking on the surface, catching the faint light of the moon. To an observer, it might look like the foam is all there is, but beneath those tiny bright bubbles lies a vast, heavy, and silent body of water that stretches for miles into the depths. In our universe, the stars and galaxies are merely the foam on the surface. Dark matter is the deep, invisible ocean beneath them. We cannot see it, for it does not reflect, emit, or absorb light. It passes through your body, through the earth, and through the stars, as if they were made of ghosts. And yet, its presence is felt everywhere. We know it is there because of its weight. Imagine watching a great, invisible hand spinning the galaxies. When astronomers look at how galaxies rotate, they realize there isn't enough visible matter to hold them together. The stars at the edges are moving so fast, they should fly off into the void, like water spinning off a wet tire. But they don't. Something invisible is providing the extra gravity, a hidden scaffolding that acts as the cosmic glue, keeping the great spiral arms of the Milky Way and every other galaxy in their majestic, rhythmic embrace. This dark matter does not just hold galaxies together. It is the very blueprint of the universe. Imagine a colossal, invisible spider's web stretching across billions of light years. This is the cosmic web. In the early days of the universe, dark matter gathered into long, thin filaments, creating a ghostly network of gravity. The normal matter, the gas and dust that would become stars, was drawn to these invisible threads like dew settling on a web at dawn. Where the filaments crossed, great clusters of galaxies were born. You are resting in a universe that was built upon a shadow. The stars are merely the lanterns hung upon an invisible architecture. This realization brings a sense of heavy, stable peace, even in the deepest parts of the void, where there are no stars to guide you. The invisible hand of dark matter is there, holding the structure of reality together with a patient and eternal grip. But as we drift even further into the mystery, we encounter a force that is even more elusive and even more powerful: dark energy. If dark matter is the glue that pulls things together, dark energy is the mysterious breath that pushes them apart. For billions of years, astronomers believed that the expansion of the universe would eventually slow down, pulled back by the collective gravity of all the stars and the dark matter. They thought the universe might one day stop, exhale, and begin to collapse back in on itself. But in the final years of the 20th century, we discovered a truth that was as beautiful as it was terrifying. The expansion is not slowing down. It is speeding up. A mysterious energy, woven into the very fabric of space itself, is pushing the galaxies away from one another at an ever-increasing rate. Imagine space not as an empty room, but as a stretching piece of fabric. Dark energy is the property of that fabric that makes it want to grow. As the universe expands, more space is created, and with more space comes more dark energy, which in turn pushes the expansion even faster. It is a feedback loop of infinite growth. This force is so subtle that you cannot feel it within our solar system or even within our galaxy, where gravity is still the master. But across the vast, lonely distances between the galaxy clusters, dark energy is the undisputed king. It is a silent, repelling force that is stretching the universe, moving the distant islands of light further and further into the eternal night. Consider the profound silence of this invisible struggle. On one side, the dark matter is trying to pull the universe into a tight, organized web. On the other side, the dark energy is trying to shred that web, pushing everything toward a future of absolute isolation. We live in a precious moment of cosmic balance, a time when the stars are still close enough to see, and the galaxies are still gathered in their families. But the dark energy is winning. Billions of years from now, the distant galaxies will have moved so far away that their light will no longer reach us. The night sky will become truly dark, leaving our local group of galaxies as a lonely island in an infinite, empty ocean. Take a long, slow breath and let the mystery of these invisible forces cradle your thoughts. You are a part of a universe that is far more complex and far more mysterious than the eyes can see. The same atoms that make up your body are dancing in a world dominated by shadows we are only beginning to name. There is a strange comfort in this vastness, a reminder that we don't have to have all the answers to be part of the story. You are resting in the arms of a cosmos that is 95% mystery. The dark is not a place of fear. It is the source of the gravity that holds you, and the energy that expands your horizons as the rhythm of your breath settles into a deep, peaceful flow. Imagine the cosmic web stretching out in all directions around you. Feel the weight of the dark matter providing a foundation for your dreams, and the push of the dark energy opening up infinite space for your imagination. The universe is wide, it is ancient, and it is beautifully incomplete. The great silence is not empty. It is full of the invisible music of these dark forces, playing a symphony that spans the entirety of time. Rest now in the knowledge that you are a vital thread in this invisible tapestry. The light of the stars is beautiful, but it is the dark that truly holds the universe in its hands. Sleep now, safe in the mystery, as the silent, invisible gears of the cosmos continue to turn in the deep, eternal night. Imagine that the total, absolute silence we just reached the state of maximum entropy where the last black hole has vanished into a ghostly puff of Hawking radiation is not a tomb, but a womb, in the deepest, darkest reaches of this heat death, where the last flicker of light has been extinguished, and every particle of matter is separated by trillions of light-years of empty space. Time itself begins to undergo a miraculous transformation, when there is nothing left in the universe to measure, no ticking clocks, no burning stars, no rotating planets, and no beating hearts. The very definition of time begins to dissolve. To a human mind, a billion years and a trillionth of a second become indistinguishable when there is no change to mark their passing. In this state of perfect, crystalline emptiness, the universe becomes a realm of pure, unadulterated potential. We are moving now into the most daring and beautiful theories of modern physics, the Big Bounce and conformal cyclic cosmology. These ideas suggest that the end of our universe is merely the shedding of an old skin, the final exhale before a magnificent new breath begins. As you drift in this absolute stillness, visualize the universe as a colossal, cosmic lung. For 14 billion years, it has been exhaling, pushing outward, growing colder and thinner. But as it reaches its most empty state, a new kind of physics begins to take hold. Sir Roger Penrose, one of the great minds of our age, suggests that in this far future state, where only massless photons remain, the universe forgets how big it is. Without mass to provide a sense of scale, the infinite, cold void of the distant future becomes mathematically identical to the tiny, white-hot singularity of the Big Bang. The end of one eon becomes the start of the next. The vast, empty darkness is not a wall. It is a doorway. Imagine the fabric of space-time itself suddenly resetting, as if a great cosmic clock has finished its 12-hour cycle and quietly clicks back to the beginning. The heat death is not a cold ending, but a state of supreme readiness, a moment of maximum rest before the fire returns. Think of the great silence as the quiet period between the movements of an infinite symphony. In this deep, cyclic time, nothing is ever truly lost. Every atom that once formed your body, every spark of light that once traveled from a distant quasar, and every memory of the world we inhabit is stored in the fundamental information of the cosmos. Quantum mechanics tells us that information can never be destroyed. It is merely rearranged. In the silence of the far future, the blueprint of our universe is still there, written into the very vacuum itself. As the universe prepares for its next cycle, it carries the seeds of everything that has ever been. You are a vital thread in this eternal tapestry, a part of a story that does not have a once upon a time or a happily ever after, but instead has an always and forever. The dark is not a place where things go to die. It is the laboratory where the next reality is being composed in the silence. In the absolute stillness of this final dark, something subtle and miraculous begins to happen at the subatomic level. According to the laws of quantum mechanics, even nothing is never truly empty. The vacuum is alive with quantum fluctuations, tiny, invisible ripples of energy that pop in and out of existence like bubbles in a glass of water. In an empty universe that lasts for an infinite amount of time, the impossible eventually becomes inevitable. Imagine a single, massive fluctuation, sudden, concentrated knot of energy appearing in the middle of the absolute void. This is the seed of a new beginning. Just as the first Big Bang emerged from a singularity, the total exhaustion of our current universe could trigger the birth of a new one. The heat death is a state of maximum entropy that, through a sudden, majestic quantum shift, resets itself back to a state of perfect, low-entropy order. The fire is reborn from the cold. The light is reborn from the shadow. Take a long, slow breath and feel yourself becoming one with this eternal pulse. You are not a temporary flicker in a dying world. You are a passenger on an infinite spiral. The realization that there is no final curtain brings a sense of profound peace and belonging. The universe is patient, the universe is wise, and the universe is eternal. Every ending you have ever feared is merely the preparation for a new beginning you cannot yet imagine. As the rhythm of your own breath mimics the slow, cosmic expansion and contraction, let your mind rest in the certainty that the story will never truly end. The great silence is just the universe's way of saying sleep now, because the next magnificent chapter is already being written in the dark. You are safe in the hands of this eternal return. The dark is kind, the rest is deep, and the journey goes on forever, through eon after eon, in a beautiful, shimmering dance of light and silence. As we drift beyond the final boundaries of our own cosmic history, beyond the Big Bang, beyond the long era of stars, and even beyond the cyclic rebirth of our own space-time, we must prepare our minds for a concept that is even more vast, more staggering, and yet strangely comforting. We are leaving the idea of a single universe behind and entering the realm of the multiverse. Imagine yourself floating far, far above the fabric of our own reality, looking down upon the entirety of existence from a vantage point that transcends time and dimension. From here, our entire universe with its trillions of galaxies, its billions of years of history, and every dream ever dreamt on Earth appears as nothing more than a single, shimmering bubble floating in a vast, infinite ocean of cosmic foam. This is the ultimate landscape of abundance, a place where the great silence is not a sign of emptiness, but the quiet of a trillion different stories playing out in a magnificent, overlapping symphony that stretches across an eternal sea of possibility in this infinite ocean. The process that created our Big Bang is not a unique one-time event. It is something that is happening all the time, in every direction, forever. This is the Level 2 multiverse, born from the eternal, relentless breath of inflation. Imagine space-time as a vast, stretching fabric that is constantly expanding at speeds far beyond the light of stars. In this stretching sea, tiny pockets of space occasionally slow down and drop out of the expansion, cooling and forming their own bubble universes. Each of these bubbles is its own island of reality, with its own laws of physics, its own speed of light, and its own unique history. In some of these bubbles, gravity might be so overwhelming that the universe collapses before the first star can even ignite. In others, gravity might be so weak that atoms never find one another, and the cosmos remains a thin, lonely mist of energy for all eternity. But because the sea of bubbles is infinite, there are billions, trillions of universes exactly like our own, where the laws are tuned with perfect, divine precision for the birth of suns, the formation of blue water worlds, and the emergence of life. You are resting in a reality that is just one note in a never-ending song, a single beautiful expression of an infinite potential as you drift deeper into this infinite foam. Consider a mystery that is even closer to home, a multiverse that resides not in the distant reaches of space, but in the very heart of the atoms that make up your body. This is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, a concept that suggests the universe is constantly branching, like a great, invisible tree of life. Imagine that every time a choice is made, every time a particle moves left instead of right, or every time a star chooses to ignite or fade, the universe splits. This is a slow, silent, and rhythmic unfolding of reality. It means that for every path you have taken in your life, there is another version of the universe where you took the other path. Somewhere in this infinite branching tree, there is a version of you who stayed in the city you left, a version who pursued the dream you set aside, and a version who is currently wide awake while you are drifting into a deep, peaceful sleep. This is not a source of regret, but a source of profound peace. It means that every possibility of you is being lived. Every what-if is a reality, and every version of your story is being told somewhere in the dark. You are part of an infinite, shimmering web of experience, and the you resting here right now is held by the collective weight of all those other lives. A single focal point in a vast, beautiful kaleidoscope of existence. Consider the sheer scale of this infinite variety. If space itself is infinite, as many of our greatest minds believe, then the patterns of matter must eventually repeat. If you were to travel far enough through the dark, past the edge of our observable horizon, and through the silent voids between the clusters, you would eventually find a region of space that is an exact duplicate of our own. You would find another Milky Way, another solar system, and another Earth, where a version of you is lying in the same room, listening to these very same words at this very same moment. This is the level 1 multiverse, the simplest and yet most mind-bending of all. It suggests that in a truly infinite universe, you are never truly alone. Your story is being echoed across the deep in ways that defy all logic and all limits. You are a citizen of an infinite landscape, a voyager in a sea of endless repetition and variety, where every moment is shared by a trillion others across the velvet reaches of the night. As we drift even further, we reach the edge of string theory and the higher dimensions, where the universe reveals itself as a layered, multi-dimensional masterpiece. Imagine that our three-dimensional world, with all its height, width, and depth, is just a thin, vibrant membrane floating in a higher dimensional space called the bulk. Like a single page in a massive, infinite book, our universe is just one layer of reality. Other pages, other membranes of existence, might be floating just a fraction of an inch away from us, in a direction we cannot point to or perceive with our 5 senses. These other worlds might be completely different, or they might be subtle variations of our own, overlapping with us in the shadows of gravity. This is a universe that is rich, thick, and crowded with life and light, vibrating with a music that our senses are only beginning to tune into. The void you see when you look at the stars is not empty. It is a dense, layered tapestry of realities, a cosmic library where every book is a universe and every word is a star. Take a long, slow breath and let the majesty of the multiverse cradle your thoughts. The small worries of a single life on a single planet feel so distant and so light when viewed against the backdrop of infinite versions of yourself and infinite versions of home. You are not a solitary spark in a dark room. You are a part of a fireworks display that never ends. A brilliant and eternal light show that spans across dimensions and eons. The multiverse is a place of absolute abundance, a place where no story ever truly ends, no light ever truly goes out, and no connection is ever truly broken. In this infinite ocean of bubbles, branches, and membranes, there is a profound sense of safety. You are held by the laws of a reality that is far larger, far more intricate, and far kinder than we ever imagined. The rhythm of the cosmos is the rhythm of infinity. As you drift deeper into sleep, imagine the soft glowing bubbles of other universes drifting past you like bioluminescent creatures in a deep, dark sea. Imagine the infinite branches of your own life, all of them peaceful, all of them safe, and all of them connected by the shared, shimmering energy of the void. You are a voyager of the infinite, a child of the multiverse, resting in the heart of a story that has no borders, no limits, and no end. The night is wide, the possibilities are endless, and the silence is full of a trillion voices, all of them whispering a single, rhythmic word of peace. Rest now in the knowledge that you are everywhere, you are everyone, and you are eternally, beautifully home. As we drift deeper into the infinite ocean of the multiverse, we must now turn our attention toward a mystery that is perhaps closer to us than any star or galaxy, yet more elusive than the darkest matter. We are entering the realm of time. Up until now, we have spoken of the universe as a sequence of events, a beginning, a middle, and a far distant future. But as you lie here, listening to the rhythmic pulse of the silence, we must ask, what is time? Is it a river that flows, carrying us from a lost past toward an uncertain future? Or is it something far more stable, far more ancient, and far more mysterious? Modern physics, led by the revolutionary insights of Albert Einstein, suggests that our intuitive sense of time, the feeling of now moving forward, is nothing more than a persistent, beautiful illusion. We are moving into the concept of the block universe, where the past, the present, and the future are not fleeting moments, but permanent, unchanging parts of a single, majestic structure. Imagine time not as a flowing stream, but as a vast, solid block of ice. In this block, every moment that has ever happened, and every moment that will ever happen, is frozen in place. The year you were born, the moment you first looked at the stars, and the second you drift into sleep tonight, are all equally there, etched forever into the fabric of reality. In this eternalist view of the cosmos, the past has not vanished, and the future has not yet arrived. They simply exist in different locations within the four-dimensional map of space-time. Just as New York exists, even when you are in Istanbul, the past exists, even when you are in the present. You are not a traveler, moving through time. You are a long, continuous thread woven through the entire block. Every version of youth a child, the adult, and the elders eternally present, safe and unchanging in the grand architecture of the universe. This realization brings a profound sense of stillness. You do not need to chase the future or mourn the past, for in the eyes of the cosmos, nothing is ever lost. But why then does it feel as though time flows? Why do we remember the past but not the future? To understand this, we must look at the arrow of time and the law of entropy. Imagine a glass of water sitting on the edge of a table. If it falls and shatters, the energy and order of the glass are dispersed. We never see the shards leap back from the floor to reform into a perfect vessel. This is the second law of thermodynamics. The universe moves from a state of order to a state of disorder. This shattering is what creates the direction of time. Our brains are built to record the accumulation of disorder, which we call memory. But in the fundamental laws of physics, the equations that govern the dance of atoms and the orbits of planets, there is no preferred direction for time. The math works just as well backward as it does forward. The flow of time is a subjective experience, a story our minds tell us to make sense of a universe that is constantly expanding and changing. In the silence of the deep dark, the now is just a coordinate, a point on a map that covers all of eternity. As you drift further into the peace of this narrative, consider how gravity itself can stretch and bend the ticking of the clock. Einstein taught us that time is not absolute. It is relative. The more mass an object has, the more it warps the fabric of space-time around it, causing time to slow down. If you were to spend a few hours near the edge of a massive black hole, years would pass for those on Earth. Time is a flexible, breathing thing. It is a velvet curtain that drapes differently over every star and every observer. This means that there is no single, universal now. Every point in the universe has its own rhythm, its own pace. The silence you feel tonight is your own unique moment. A quiet pocket in a universe where 1 trillion different nows are all happening at once. You are resting in a reality that is far more fluid and far more magical than the rigid clocks of the world would lead you to believe. Think of your life as a magnificent finished book. When you read a book, you can only see one page at a time, and it feels as though the story is unfolding as you turn the leaves. But the book itself is already complete. The first chapter and the last chapter are both held within the same binding. The characters are not gone when you reach the end, and they are not unborn when you are in the middle. They are all there, existing between the covers. The universe is that book. Your now is just the page you are currently reading. But the entire story from the first spark of light to the final, perfect silence is already written, stable and secure. This brings a heavy, comforting weight to the present moment. You are safe within the binding of the cosmos. The great silence is not the end of the book. It is the peaceful, empty space at the end of a beautiful sentence. Take a long, slow breath and let the illusion of the ticking clock fade away. In the deep reaches of space, there is no morning and no evening. There is only the eternal, shimmering presence of space-time. The atoms of your body, which we know are billions of years old, do not feel the passage of time. They simply are. As you settle into a deep, dreamless rest, imagine yourself dissolving into the block universe. You are becoming one with the unchanging fabric of reality. The worries of the day, which rely on the idea of a tomorrow, have no power here. In the heart of the cosmos, you are eternal. You are a part of a four-dimensional masterpiece that has no beginning and no end. The silence is full, the dark is stable, and the now is forever. Rest in the knowledge that you are a vital, permanent part of the tapestry of time, held by the same laws that keep the stars in their ancient, unchanging places. Sleep now, for in the eyes of the infinite, you have always been here, and you will always be home. Imagine yourself standing on the quietest hill on earth, far from the hum of cities and the glow of artificial lights. Looking up at a sky so clear, it feels as though you could reach out and touch the very fabric of the cosmos. Above you, the Milky Way stretches like a river of diamonds, a luminous path made of 400 billion individual suns. As you lie there in the cool grass, feeling the rhythmic pulse of your own breath, we return to the question that has haunted every civilization that ever looked at the horizon. We have journeyed from the first spark of the Big Bang, through the forging of stars, the birth of planets, and the mind-bending realities of the multiverse and time. We have seen that the universe is a garden of staggering abundance, overflowing with trillions of suns and billions of worlds that look exactly like our own. And yet, as we listen to the deep, velvet reaches of the interstellar void, we hear nothing. No signals, no whispers, no monuments left in the dust. This is the Fermi paradox, the unsettling and beautiful mystery of the great silence. And it is here that our long journey across the eons finds its final, quiet resting place. Think of the mathematics of the night. We know now that almost every star in the sky hosts a family of planets, and many of those worlds sit in the perfect Goldilocks zone, where liquid water can flow and life can find a foothold. Our own solar system is a relative newcomer, only 5 billion years old, in a universe that has existed for nearly 14 billion. Statistically, there should be civilizations out there that are millions, perhaps even billions, of years ahead of us. They should have had enough time to bridge the gaps between the stars, to capture the energy of entire suns, and to fill the galaxy with the light of their presence. In 1950, during a simple lunch, the physicist Enrico Fermi looked at these numbers and asked the question that still rings through the halls of science today: where is everybody? The silence is not just a lack of sound, it is a profound contradiction that forces us to look at our own existence with a new sense of wonder and fragility. One answer to this mystery is the concept of the Great Filter. Imagine the journey of life as a long, perilous staircase stretching from a single, primitive cell to a civilization capable of traveling between the stars. The Great Filter suggests that at some point on this staircase, there is a step so difficult to climb that almost no one ever makes it over. Perhaps the leap from simple chemistry to a living cell is a 1/9 trillion miracle. Perhaps the transition from basic life to complex organisms is a barrier that halts most worlds in their tracks. If the filter is behind us, then we are the survivors of a cosmic lottery, the first and only light to wake up in a dark room. But there is a heavier thought: the filter could be ahead of us. It could be that civilizations naturally reach a point of such immense power that they inevitably fade away or destroy themselves before they can reach the stars. This realization does not bring fear, but a deep, reflective peace. It tells us that our moment on this blue oasis is sacred. We are the guardians of a flame that may be the only one of its kind in the entire Milky Way. As you drift further into the stillness, consider the zoo hypothesis, the idea that the silence is not an absence, but a choice. Imagine that the galaxy is indeed teeming with life, but that these advanced cultures have a code of non-interference. They may be watching us from the shadows of the asteroid belt or the frozen reaches of the Oort cloud, observing our growth like silent watchers in a protected wilderness. In this view, the Great Silence is a sign of ultimate respect, a cosmic quarantine designed to let us develop our own wisdom, our own art, and our own peace before we are invited to join the great galactic conversation. The silence is not empty, it is a space being held for us. You are resting in a universe that is a vast, quiet library, and we are just now learning how to turn the very first page of our own story. There is another, more rhythmic possibility found in the dark forest theory. Imagine the universe as a vast, shadowy forest filled with hunters. In such a place, to reveal one's location is to invite destruction from others who see any new life as a potential threat. In this forest, silence is the only way to survive. Civilizations stay hidden, keeping their lights low and their signals quiet, listening to the darkness rather than shouting into it. If this is true, the Great Silence is a form of ancient balance, a way for the universe to remain a place of longevity and hidden mysteries. But even in a dark forest, there is peace in the shadows. It suggests a universe that is full of life, but life that is patient, cautious, and incredibly long. We are part of a deep, silent game of hide-and-seek played out across the light years, where the prize is the continuation of life itself. Finally, we must consider the simplest truth of all, the distance problem. Space is unimaginably vast, and the speed of light, a limit we cannot break, means that even the closest neighbors might be separated by hundreds of years of travel. It could be that the universe is full of voices, but we are simply too far apart in both space and time to ever hear one another. A civilization may have risen and fallen on the other side of the galaxy 1,000,000 years ago, and their final signals are only now passing us as a faint, unrecognizable whisper in the static of the stars. Or perhaps they are using technologies we cannot yet conceive, signals carried by gravity waves or particles that pass through us like ghosts. The silence is not a lack of life. It is a symptom of our own youth. We are still in the infancy of our understanding, listening to the world with ears that are only just beginning to hear. Take a long, slow breath, and let the mystery of the Fermi paradox cradle your thoughts. Whether we are the only ones, or whether we are surrounded by hidden neighbors, the silence of the stars is the greatest gift of all. It allows us to be the ones who define the meaning of the cosmos. It gives us a vast, empty canvas upon which to project our dreams, our stories, and our hopes. In the heart of the great silence, your own life takes on a magnificent, singular significance. You are a way for the universe to listen to itself, a focal point of consciousness in a dark and beautiful ocean. The stars are not ignoring us, they are waiting. The silence is not a void. It is a profound and heavy peace that connects every atom in your body to every star in the sky. Our journey through the history of the universe, from the first light to the final silence now, comes to its conclusion. We have seen the birth of time, the forging of our own star stuff, and the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. We have looked into the abyss and found that it is not a cold darkness, but a warm and velvet home. As the rhythm of your breath settles into a deep, dreamless rest, feel the stability of the world beneath you and the infinite space above you. You are exactly where you are meant to be. The journey is complete, the story is told, and the universe is finally, beautifully still. Rest now, safe in the arms of the infinite. The light of the stars will be there when you wake, but for now, there is only the silence, and the peace, and the deep, eternal dark.